Imagine just for a second a ship sailing out onto the vast, boundless ocean. Now, ask yourself this. If a ship has absolutely no destination, where does it actually go? Does it just drift around? Does it sail east for a bit, stop, and then kind of meander south? It's a really powerful philosophical question, and honestly, it serves as the absolute perfect anchor for our explainer today.
Today, we're unpacking a fascinating theological and philosophical text titled, "To Where Does the Ship of Life Qianyuan Sail?" Now, this entire framework comes directly from the teachings and writings of Shui Feng, the founder and guide of Life Qianyuan. Throughout this explainer, we're going to visually map out Shui Feng's grand nautical metaphor for human existence. We'll explore how he defines a lost life, we'll look at the highly specific celestial cosmology he maps out, and we'll dig into the strict requirements his text lays out for embarking on what he calls the ultimate spiritual voyage.
So, we've got 4 main stops on our itinerary today. First up, the aimless ship of life. Second, Life Qianyuan's destinations. Third, the secret of boarding. And finally, the final choice. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the aimless ship of life. Shui Feng kicks things off by diagnosing what he sees as a fundamental problem with the human condition. It's basically this. People who want to go to New York, Tokyo, London, and Johannesburg all at the exact same time, well, they can only remain put. Because obviously, you simply cannot walk in all those directions at once. Without a specific direction and a clear goal, the author argues that a person inevitably just spins in circles. According to this philosophy, a life without a singular, definitive destination is a lost one. It gets trapped in a cycle, reincarnating on the exact same spot. Having just a general direction isn't enough. Without a clear destination, Shui Feng writes, you literally get lost among boundless distractions.
To really drive this home, Shui Feng contrasts his concept with the types of ships we're all familiar with. Think about it. A fishing boat goes out, catches some fish, and returns to the exact same port. A cruise ship takes you to see some exotic sights, but eventually drops you right back where you started. A pirate ship stops randomly just to plunder. Even an expedition ship sails out for the sake of exploring without really knowing what it's going to find. All of these, in the context of this text, are completely aimless. They're temporary. The ship of life Qianyuan, however, is a definitive one-way journey. It is a ship of life that does not return to its starting point.
Which brings us to part 2, Life Qianyuan's destinations.
Okay, so if the ship isn't coming back, where exactly is it going? Well, the text doesn't just offer vague spiritual promises. It lays out a highly specific, tiered cosmology for this exact route. Everyone starts right here, in the human world. But the ultimate destination, the absolute final port of call, is a place called the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. However, it's a long journey, and there are 2 distinct stops along the way, the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world. Shui Feng emphasizes that because this is a ship of life that never returns, everyone on board must have a place to go. But crucially, not everyone gets to ride all the way to the end of the line.
Now, the reality of this voyage is pretty stark. According to Shui Feng, the overwhelming majority of lives only narrowly meet the standards for that first stop, the 1,000-year world, and they've got to disembark right there. A much smaller fraction of passengers actually make it to the 10,000-year world, and as for that final destination, Elysium, well, the text plainly states that currently not a single person aboard the ship is ready to reach the Celestial Islands continent on their first voyage.
But hey, the text immediately offers a caveat to that strict assessment. Shui Feng writes that this current state of affairs is not the final conclusion. Why? Because people are still sublimating and making progress. He suggests that passengers have the potential to break through a 0 point and experience a massive qualitative leap overnight. If that internal transformation happens, then many more lives will be eligible to travel further down the line.
Let's move on to part 3, the secret of boarding.
So, what does this all mean for actually getting a ticket? The text is incredibly specific that physical actions are entirely insufficient. As Shui Feng writes, you must board the ship of life Qianyuan in your heart, but not in your body, name, or symbol. He argues that just putting your name on a manifest or physically hanging around the group is completely meaningless. If your heart is not genuinely on board, you haven't boarded at all. And he wants that you can't complain about being cheated by the ship if you don't reach heaven, because by faking your commitment, you've really only cheated yourself.
If you haven't boarded with your heart, where are you? Well, you're still on the shore. You might just be waiting to see what happens, watching the wind direction to see which way society is blowing, or carefully weighing the pros and cons, maybe treating spiritual salvation like you're merely choosing a business plan. The author categorizes all of this as being spiritually left behind on the dock, no matter what you might claim publicly.
And here is where Xu Feng injects a massive sense of urgency into his teachings. You know how you might think a ship waits for its passengers? Yeah, not this one. The text dictates that the ship of life Qianyuan operates strictly on the universe's life adjustment schedule. It sails exactly on time. It literally does not matter if there are millions of people on board or if the ship is completely empty with 0 passengers. The program is set, and the departure from the human world to heaven will happen with or without you.
And that takes us to our final section, the final choice.
The author wraps up his message by placing the ultimate responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the individual reader. The message here is one of absolute free will and absolute accountability. To anyone wanting to escape worldly catastrophes, Xu Feng says the ship has pulled right up to your front door, but actually stepping onto it, that is entirely up to your own free will. The text makes it explicitly clear if you choose not to board, you cannot blame any gods, you cannot blame deities, and there's absolutely no reason to cry or complain if you find yourself left outside the gates of heaven. The opportunity was presented and the choice was yours.
Then, the author fires off a series of sharp, rhetorical questions aimed directly at people who are waiting for traditional religious figures, like, say, the second coming of Jesus or another birth of the Buddha. He totally challenges their perception. Are you waiting to see a savior with your physical eyes or with your heart? Are you trying to understand divine teachings with your logical brain or with your inner heart? Are you expressing spiritual joy just by moving your mouth, or is it genuinely radiating from your heart? Xu Feng uses these contrasts to reiterate that the true voyage is entirely internal.
Which brings us to the final conclusion of the text. Xu Feng states, in short, the ship of life has been to the earth and it has passed your door. The framework is laid out, the destinations are firmly set, and the schedule is totally uncompromising. So, based on the teachings we've unpacked in this explainer today, we're going to leave you with the ultimate question posed by the source material itself. The ship is at your door. Are you truly ready to board? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into Xu Feng's writings, and I really hope this breakdown helped bring these complex ideas into clearer focus for you.